working on making the Mount a more compassionate university and to raise awareness about diverse beliefs. And the Mount CARES is an acronym for compassion, appreciation, relationships, engagement, and service. In our campaign, we consult with students, faculty, and staff to, through big posters, social media, and we made videos just to get their opinions on what compassion meant to them and how they thought the Mount could become more compassionate. And we also created initiatives such as Pass It Forward and help the students get engaged in that, which is kind of like the Pay It Forward movie. And then we also joined and helped develop a inclusion, accessibility, compassion, diversity initiative that is started on the campus, and they're working on a shorter name, which Leanne is a part of. And there's lots of offshoots of that going on campus. And as a result of the work, we had a celebration for compassion, and you'll be able to read a little bit more of that over there. And we have our candle from a little celebration from our stand ceremony. And through that celebration, we were able to help the student union proclaim a charter of compassion, which was also over there. And so that made us the first student union in the world to be a compassionate student union. And Paul will be able to explain a little more about the background and the history of that. So I'll hand it over to him.
Thank you, Allison. It is weird without a podium.
Yeah.
So my name is Paul Whyte, and I'm the current president of Mount St. Vincent University Students' Union. So, I came into the union. April 1st we had the signing, and May 1st I started my job as presidency. So I had about a month to kind of figure out what it was all about. So the question for me in coming into presidency was, well, what does it mean to be a compassionate union? What is actionable from that? What are we going to do to foster compassion on our campus? So pretty big questions. So I guess in hearing about the signing of the charter, I thought it was such a great first step to make that proclamation, and then to follow up with that, how do we stay accountable to that proclamation? And it's folk like Kim who are diligently emailing, diligently making phone calls to ensure that charter is actually kind of living and breathing on our campus. So with that, in a few long meetings with Kim, we figured out a few things that we were going to do. My role started off with a committee on welcoming spaces. So how do we make our campus more welcoming and more safe for students? So that conversation led to a lot of really beautiful ideas, including a poster series that the union would do, basically just greeting people into all of the spaces and letting them know what they can expect from that space and who they can contact if they're not feeling safe in that space. Very, very simple, but just something that we started the ball rolling on. So from that, and a lot of collaborative discussion, we decided that the Students' Union, our main mandate is to create equitable governance that is approachable and actively advocating for our students. So our queer students, our marginalized students, our racialized groups, our Aboriginal students, our trans students, for instance. So in keeping all of that in mind, whoa, where do you start? That's a lot. That's a lot of different pots to be drawing from. So with that, I'm working on a current proposal, and we're developing a Students' Union Inclusion Initiative. So the whole initiative will basically cover all of that. So any element of social justice that we can bring into the union and advocate for students and make a more equitable campus is going to be facilitated through this body. So with that body, there are a few working groups. The word working groups instantly kind of makes me want to go to sleep, so I'll be very brief with that. So we basically break it all down. So we have a queer community, a racialized student community, queer, racialized, there's a few more, drawing a blank because I'm public speaking, of course. So basically with those, we'll facilitate events. There's a women's collective, there'll be a part of on environmentalism, and just a general activist collective too, where students can kind of do what they want and figure out what it is, what type of activism they want to do. So with that, we're hoping to facilitate a lot of events and campaigns on campus. Some of the ones that I'm really passionate about are the blood ban. So as a queer person myself, I'm not eligible to donate blood, for instance. So Health Canada has mandated that in order to be eligible to donate blood as a gay male, you have to be celibate for 5 years. So I don't know if you guys remember your 20s, but that's pretty difficult. Okay, good, got some chuckles there. Thanks. So with that, the Canadian Federation of Students, an active federation that I'm involved with, they have this really great campaign called End the Blood Ban. So it's basically getting rid of the whole idea of basing this rule on stereotypes and not science. So that's one of the many things that we're going to be doing, starting a feminist collective here on campus. Someone once told me that the entire Mount is a feminist collective, but we're still working on that. Yeah, so another really thing that I'm passionate about is kind of helping to bridge the divide between our Canadian students and our international students. From everyone's level of organizing, I'm sure that we've all kind of noted the differences and kind of the challenges related to dealing with that. So with that, a campaign that we're going to be doing is, it's called My Culture is Not Your Costume. How many times around Halloween do you see, a bunch of Pocahontases coming out of the woodwork? So dealing with cultural appropriation and like ingrained racism is something that we're really looking forward to challenging on our campus. Along with just general making sure that we're being really inclusive and welcoming. So our Students' Union is going to start translating all of our poster and social media work into the 3 top languages of the school. So English is a pretty easy translation for us, but going that into Arabic and Mandarin is something that we're also working on. So instantly, we're going to have all these beautiful English posters, but also posters in other languages. Yeah, so those are the kind of the very broad kind of spectrum of items that we'd like to address. If anyone has any questions or would like to learn a little bit more, definitely come and say hi. I'll definitely be holding a coffee cup because it's been a bit of a long day. But to close, I would like to say that in terms of action forward, it's going to be getting our students engaged in the discussion, talking to our queer community, talking to our racialized students, talking to our Aboriginal students, and figuring out what they need from our campus. And then from there, figuring out how we, as a collective community, how we can organize and then agitate our administration and our government to make sure that these things are happening. So, thank you.